Attitudes towards mental health are improving on the whole, but a survey finds people are still concerned about admitting mental health problems. To help us understand this issue better, we have Bettina Yeap. She's Principal Counsellor specialising on mental health issues at Care Corner Singapore. Ms. Yeap, as a counsellor dealing with mental health issues, I take it you meet with people who have had problems, but have had problems approaching you because they fear stigma. How large a problem is this in Singapore? And relative to other countries, as an example, are we particularly bad with dealing with the stigma of mental health issues?
Yeah, I mean, I think, if I compare it with Western countries, I think we are definitely more conservative, and therefore, Asian mentality has this don't air your dirty laundry in public, so it really still is a little bit more taboo. I think it's better now just because of all the campaigns that have been going on, but I still think we have a way to go with that.
Ms. Yeap, when we talk about stigma, we're really talking about discrimination. And we have heard that Beyond the Label is going to target a few specific groups, perhaps more people. I mean, certain groups need more help than others. And some of those are caregivers and youth. So why these groups specifically for Beyond the Label?
Well, I think the studies have shown, that really this group, the 10 to 29, there has been higher incidence of like mental health challenges, also suicide rates. So definitely, I think this is one target group. And I think it's also a bit more upstream, like if you can nip it in the bud earlier, I think that's important. And then behind every youth, there is a caregiver. And mental health challenges increases the stress of the family who has to care for this person, right? So sometimes that caregiver stress can also actually make the situation worse. Yeah, so they are sort of feed off each other. So I think these two groups are actually really important to look after and look into as well.
Oh, so when you have to deal with, so for example, as you mentioned, the caregiver, which in some cases could be parents or guardians, how do you talk to both groups together and separately so that you are better able to address the issues that they bring to you as counsellor?
I think we have, because we work with young people and their parents, but we work with them quite separately. So we have clients, young people who come in who are like, please don't tell my parents, I've sought help. And then we have caregivers who come in and they're like, I need help, but my young person does not want to. Yeah, so I think we're trying to manage that to be able to bring them both together to have a conversation. Yeah, but we're also targeting them separately as well. Yeah, but we're trying to encourage parents, please allow for your young people to seek help, because I've had a lot of young people who come in and they're like, no, you don't need to see anybody. You can just talk to me, but then like mom or dad is a trigger or a cause of the stress as well. Yeah, so that's not always helpful. But I guess, with parents sometimes that there is that stigma or the parent guilt that comes as well. So that sometimes needs to be addressed with the parent as well.
So there is a very fine line to tread, is what I hear you say, when it comes to kind of communicating, with people who feel that they're in mental distress with people who around them. It could even be family members, parents as well. So what do you actually do? What challenges do you actually face in crossing that bridge, as it were, for people who are worried about talking about the social stigma surrounding this issue?
Well, I think definitely that's the first part of getting people to come forward. So we try to create smaller platforms, so online chat lines that have maybe a bit more confidentiality to encourage help seeking earlier. But I think there's also the challenging part where if they're worried about stigma, sometimes people who experience these social stigmas they internalize these like perceived prejudices, and then, it becomes sort of a self-concept, self-stigma, which kind of makes it even harder for them to seek help. So I think there's that part of addressing some of these things. And then there's also the part of really about surfacing and challenging misconceptions, as well as educating the clients, as well as their support system. So that's generally the family or friends as well. Yeah, but it can be challenging because sometimes you're working with multiple parties, and because we are looking at addressing some of these mindsets, prejudices, they can be sometimes quite deeply rooted. So it takes time as well to kind of bring people on the same page or help sort of shift that sort of mindset.
Oh, thanks for that. Thank you for sharing your insights with us. Bettina Yeap from Care Corner, Singapore.
The tills are ringing for many who say they're in the business of improving mental wellness. Employers are driving demand as the spotlight falls on employee burnout. Now, according to an exclusive CNA poll, Singaporeans cited burnout as the top reason for their mental health deterioration. But with the definition of mental wellness considerably broad, how do consumers know what will truly benefit them? Chloe Chu tries to find out.
Bouldering is literally about overcoming obstacles.
Just put as hard as you can. Don't be scared.
And proponents of the sport say it teaches mindfulness through movement.
The climbing community itself is growing in Singapore, in the region, and globally as well, right? And when we talk about in the international kind of like scene, actually, climbing itself is seen as a therapy. You need to be very aware of where your strengths and limitations are, so that you can kind of like solve the problem that's kind of on the wall.
I've done a few routes now, and even though it might not seem like it, bouldering actually involves a lot of overcoming mental hurdles in order to solve the problems or the routes. Now, professional athletes have often said that climbing is actually about 80% mental strength instead of just physical. So you really just have to figure out what your next best move is and just go for it.
This gym also hosts workshops which aim to build resilience through climbing and breathing techniques. Corporates make up much of the demand, enticed not just by the training, but also team building.
It promotes like working together with your colleagues, because you come here, to after work, you come here and then you kind of like collaboratively solve something on the wall together. You cheer each other on, you spur each other on, and I think that's a very healthy kind of thing to do with your colleagues.
A meditation studio close by echoes a similar sentiment when it comes to increasing demand for its activities, especially as more return to the office. It offers what's known as sound baths.
The intention behind this offering is we let the sound and the vibrations go through the body, because we believe that the body goes out of tune due to stress, due to tension, and when you just come in for an effortless session, it's like you're taking a shower under the water. Here in this case, you're getting the vibrations cleansed through the body. Yeah, you get an internal cleanse.
The jury's still out on such exercises. Most experts agree that they're harmless and could help reduce anxiety. But determining the exact scientific benefits isn't straightforward.
So I think we can start looking at whether these programs that are being run, it's also not just accredited, I think, within Singapore, but usually we have some international or global sort of like society that would back that up. So if you hear terms like mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, mindfulness-based like stress reductions, you would be more certain, and I'll be more certain as well to say that yes, this will be, I think, evidence-based sort of secular practices.
But whether it's sounding out your inner self or reaching new heights of mental toughness, experts agree that the benefits can be deeply personal. The key is to have an open mind.